Here comes Pat. And we'll get, hey, first of all, oh, here comes Julia. Kevin Goodall.
Hey,
The first quiz turned in. Kevin Goodall. 10
All right,
minutes, I think,
Kevin.
after the email went out.
Full star, A+ for the day.
You get to sit in the front seat of the class. You always get one of those students, right? They sit in the front, right? They come early, want to talk to the professor. That's Kev.
usually I'm at the back of the class.
Try, trying to be inconspicuous.
Yeah.
You know what? First, before I start, guys, I'm so proud of you guys because I've never had it where this is the class marker thing. I think we got over 80% participation already, quick, like the first week, which is unreal. And and I know you guys are busy and just so proud of you. Really well done. So we're off to a really good start, and it's just going to get easier as we go.
No,
So,
we're all just hanging around doing nothing.
that's right. Waiting for quizzes to come across, right, Pat?
Waiting for quizzes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, obviously, I think everybody's fine with the quizzes. It's I appreciate it. Just taking the time to go on. So I guess the cadence will be every week. If you can read, it takes 2 weeks to read a chapter. The chapters aren't too long, and then somewhere around the end of the first week, I get that quiz off to you. I hope you like that class marker thing. I've been using it for my Greenbelt class. It's pretty friendly. What I'm hoping is, work together. If a couple of you guys are together, even I'm on the phone, go through it together. Doesn't matter about scores or grades or anything like that. It's just, kind of coming up with the same game plan going forward for ORNL Lean, and some different insights. So
That first quiz was a softball, Bill.
yeah, they're all gonna be softballs, I think, because you guys live the business, you're in the business, it's like you can relate a lot to what's happening.
I studied hard for that. What do you mean?
All right, so I thought I'd start with just a real quick, we'll fly through what we've been last week, 2 weeks ago now. I tell you, we're getting really close to the 15 hours. So one of the things I'm considering, is maybe at the end of this because it's gonna be like 8 chapters. If I can do something with the with the 14 principles, then we'll probably do maybe a yellow belt even, so we'll skip the white belt and go right to yellow. And especially if everybody's kind of buying in like this, the way you guys are doing it, everybody's kind of going through the quizzes and showing up and all that. So lean construction, we kind of went through, Charlie kind of just gave an introduction the first time, what the benefits are, blah, blah, blah. One thing I've learned about lean is you don't really become a believer until you see it work in your own life. So that's the whole purpose of it all, is as the end of the day, as your life becomes less waiting, less chaos, more ordered, by eliminating some of the 8 ways, then you'll become disciples. And here's the how: the respect for all individuals, continuous learning and improvement, real collaboration, the 5 conversations, always improving relationships, from the owner all the way to, one of your subs helpers, optimizing the project and not the piece. And there's Charlie and his group, and Charlie's the guy with the jeans and so about the same size, right? Kind of 30 years, same number of years in business, except he's in sunny Atlanta. We're in sunny Connecticut. A little bit about his website, his lean light bulb. This is kind of where when you think about the last planner system, GC does the schedule of real work changes, nonstop. The schedule is obsolete. 2 weeks after it's printed, we better update these things pretty frequently. And that's kind of the idea, the collaborative process, that you guys have been doing in the trailer, the pull plan, the whole 9 yards. And here's his definition of lean. Again, this is a review. And now we're into chapter 1. This was the one we did the quiz on. I think everybody here on the call has already done the quiz. But just if you decide you don't want to do the quiz, you can just show up for the Friday and you can do the quiz then. And then you get 100 for sure. This is where we're at. Again, look at, I'm just so, that's incredible after week 1. And I've done a lot of classes in my in my day here, you know, so really good. I'm going to continue to make that visible, and we'll keep building it, and there'll be a lot of greens. All right, so let's talk about the state of construction, company culture. So the key points were, you know, when the industry is booming, you think it's always going to be that good. And again, this is preaching to the choir for sure. The number of years, the number of projects, the number of decades, the number of presidential administrations that you guys have been through. We know that it's never as good as it's always going to get better. It's not always going to be as good as, you know, we have these ups and downs, and it could be a pandemic. It could be 9/11, could be 2008, you know, when the stock market crashed. But one thing for sure we know is that things are going to change, right? And most of what impacts our livelihood and our prosperity is beyond our control, right? And because we have no control over what happened in 9/11. We don't have any control over the pandemic. And the key thing in any business, any small businesses are impacted even more, but especially in construction, is our ability to adapt. And that's what you guys do. You guys, you're like chameleons. You adapt, you know, better than anyone, really, if you think about it. And you know, I think one of the things in my own business, you know, when I took on a lean journey was I understand that what got us to today will probably not get us to tomorrow, right? We have to constantly think about ways of reinventing ourselves and responding to what's happening, you know, in the world and all. And if you start thinking about the changes, we're gonna get to that slide, that have happened just in your last 20 years in terms of how day-to-day business is done. You know, it's kind of amazing. And then he got into the 3 types of construction models. Again, this is nothing new for you guys, but you know, we're going to go through chapter by chapter. Success is built on collaboration. I mean, and lean is all about collaboration and conversation and improving communication, especially the last planner system and pull planning. And then he talked about the concept of cheap, good, and fast. Pick any 2. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And next slide. So again, when the industry is booming, you tend to think it will always be, you know. So here's this is a quick illustration, you know, the volatility. This again is, I always thought about lean as my insurance policy, right? Because I can do a lot more work with a lot less waste. So a lot less running around, a lot less chaos. And then when things got tough, we were still able to do the same, quite a bit of work with the same number of people, right? I mean, the first time I had any kind of we lost our 2003 business, 3 hurricanes closed our East Coast. I had to lay off 9 people, which nearly killed me. I didn't take a salary for 6 months. My partner didn't take it for 8 months. And then, you know, that's nice. I'm doing lean from now on. This is what we're doing. And I think, you know, then we had 2008 happen, and I was able to give out bonuses. We didn't lay off 1 person. It's about being able to continue to grow and just look at your own processes and say, all right, this is waste. This is causing me to stop. This is causing me to wait. And saying, you know what, instead of saying, you know what, that's how it is, I can't control it, figuring out ways to remove those wastes from, and we're going to get into the 8 waste quite a bit over the next 6 weeks, you know, as we go through this course. But again, the whole purpose is to kind of make our business a little bit more resilient when it comes to the things that we can't control, which are most of the things that impact our prosperity, our well-being, our quality of life. That's why I love lean. I think of it as life insurance for my business. And my business was, you know, it started in 1966. So it wasn't like it was a new, you know, upstart. You know, it wasn't a new bit. It wasn't brand new. So, any thoughts, questions? Todd, you want to weigh in on this one in terms of the last 32 years, 33 in volatility?
Yeah, I mean, it is, you know, definitely, you know, volatile in our industry. As much as we try to plan to, you know, have projects sort of evenly, you know, start and finish and run off. It doesn't happen. I think, you know, right now we're probably in one of the most volatile times in any of our lives with what's going on in the, you know, global perspective in terms of the conflicts, the tightening up of funding, you know, interest rates over 7%. It's volatile. You know, I can see it with the owners we're dealing with. They're a little nervous, and so that impacts us. You know, we've got projects that are delayed starts, and they'll go. It just, you know, that's the challenges we always have. So I think the only thing we can do and what we can control is what we're talking about now. You know, good planning, trying to under promise and over deliver, and that's critical. And I think that there are opportunities. You know, that said, when the world is, you know, really unsettled, that's, I think, where, you know, companies that have a good plan, there's definitely room for opportunity.
And companies that invest in teaching and developing people, you know, and developing their own people. You know, lean is nothing more than time management, you know, and you can spend your time doing the 8 wastes, so we could spend our time. And that's all it really, if you really think about it, that's what lean is: time management. Do we spend it doing productive work that moves us towards satisfying our customer, or do we spend it doing the 8 wastes? And our businesses are nothing more than 1,000 processes. If you think of everything you do as a process, and, you know, one of the challenges is like, well, all right, what are our processes? Well, how do we bid on things? How do we sell things? How do we invoice people? How do we collect our money? How do we set up the job site? I mean, just think about it. There's thousands of processes, and lean is about saying, all right, if it takes us 10 hours to do that, we're going to figure out how to do it in 5 hours. And that's all Toyota did, is just figuring out every single process. How do you take the time it takes and cut it in half? That's the essence of lean, is just time management and taking every single one of our business processes, especially the ones that our customer sees, the ones that are customer facing. We want to make them where our customers like, oh my God, nobody does it that way. And figuring out ways to delight, not satisfy. Because every single one of our competitors does exactly the same thing, right? They probably do it pretty much the same way in terms of the processes. Now, market disruption and not satisfying, but delighting is about making them go, I don't know how they do that. But just a little as we move forward with it, with what lean is and how I think about it. And it kind of, this slide kind of covers it, right? And this is the adaptability to change that we're talking about. I mean, so think about your life, you know, especially the folk, you guys have been around a while. In the past 20 years, right? Everything's digital, everything, right? I can remember handing a letter to our receptionist to ask her to type it so I could put it in an envelope and put a stamp on it to send it to a customer. I mean, and that's 1991, probably. Communication's easier, faster. Construction management software, health and safety standards are stricter. You know, glasses, goggles, steel toe boots. You know, my subs, no one, I walk on job sites, guys would have sneakers and cutoffs, you know, and they'd be on the ground troweling with knee pads on their short, you know, with shorts on. Green is this is all changed, and it's going to continue to. Like, we can't think that the last 20 years was all the changes. So we have to adopt. And I think that one of the biggest ones is, who's my competition, right? We have to, especially people that, you know, like Julia's age and younger. Who's my competition? Well, who are they used to dealing with all the time? You know, they're used to dealing with, from when they're babies, Amazon, right? Where, when do you want it? Not tomorrow, 2 o'clock. Time, it's such an important component of delighting. So we have to figure out how to do that and adapt. Chick-fil-A, right? Where you have that customer service where they're jumping all over you, like you're the most important person in the world all the time. Every single employee. You know, when you go to Disney, same thing. You know, how's your day? Big smiles, 105 degrees, right? You got your family and you're ready to go home. They're just, who are my customers and who are not, right? And I think you guys obviously are really good at this. And I use Pepe's as a example always, because they do one thing. That's it. You know, they don't do 10. You can't go in there and ask for General Chow chicken. You know, they do one thing. I don't know if you get lasagna in there. You know, if you ask for a beer, they give you a white can that says beer on the side. But they know who they are, they know what they do well, and that's what they bring to the table, right? And customer expectations. perfect quality and 100% on time are not, those aren't satisfying. People expect that. That's the expectation, right? We have to go way past that 2023 and because that's like saying, like Chris Rock used to say, I read to my kids. Remember he used to do that stand up? Well, you're supposed to read to your kids. You don't get a cookie for doing things you're supposed to do. And what two of those things are, we do good quality and we do 100% on time. Well, that's what we get paid for. That's why they didn't choose us to give them poor quality and not on time. And the 3 types of construction models. And again, this is a review for most of you guys. Design, bid, build. You do it for a living. Design, build, and construction management. This was one of the quiz questions. Design, bid, build, fraught with peril. This was a fun one. I used to love dealing with this one. Architect designs it, contractor bids it, and then the subs bid it. Lowest bid gets the job. Why? Because they thought about construction as a commodity. Anybody can do it, right? You have to live with the number you put out there. And the bid's always late, or a lot. Not if they're late, the bid gets tossed out, and the same for the subs. If the bid's early, then it gets shopped around. Same for the subs. And then you start asking yourself, well, if I have a flooring contractor that's charging $6 a square foot, and I got someone coming in at $1.50, and what's going on here? What they leave out? Did they understand the work? Are we going to get $1.50 a square foot kind of work? Do they need the work so bad? And it's also design, bid, build is risky for the owner. Everyone needs to cut corners to make money, right? And the problem with my business was we were the flooring guys, so we were always the last ones in. So we were at most risk of not getting paid. And it was reflected in our days, our outstanding receivables. And this is still really common in the public sector. I mean, to the point where, our 1,200 subs, we would advise them against bidding public jobs for this reason. Usually they're going in at a price that they really didn't want to go in at. One mistake and they were getting blown out of the water. They were upside down on the job. So we would always encourage them to go out and find car dealerships, some mom and pop restaurants, things like that. So design, bid, build, fraught with peril. And then design, build, that's the partnership between the GC and the architect. GC hires the architect, owner has a contract with the GC. And at least now we're selected based on our qualifications, and not price. I mean, not everyone can do a legacy theater. Not everyone can do, what you guys do. We help the owner with a budget and design to that budget. And if the design is faulty, then of course the buck stops with us because, we're in bed with the architect. And construction management, the owner has 2 separate contracts, one with the architect, one with the GC. The GC is on board from day one. And instead of the cheapest, we are the budget and constructability experts. And if design is faulty, the buck stops with the architect. So I just kind of went through a review in his view, in Charlie's view, of the 3 delivery systems. And the cool thing is, this is where lean comes in, is design, build, and construction management are based on collaboration, right? It's just how strong are those communication channels, owner, architect, GC, subs, sub helper, sub spouse, your spouse, everybody's on the same page, right? Such a key driving success factor nowadays. And pull planning is a good way to do it, right? We call it the 5 connected conversations. At some point, I think in this class, I'm just going to quickly review, because we don't always have everybody that's here on our Friday calls. We'll touch on the 5 connected conversations and how ORNL over time with Pat's help and Cliff and Sergio, all you guys, Bob, have helped us build that. And I think the big point is here is something that I'd like to just put a kind of like something out there for you guys is, when Charlie talks about pull planning, a large piece of that pull planning is in pre-construction, and I think most of our focus has been on, when we get onto the job site, let's pull the subs together. Let's go through the schedule. Let's get some information from them, gain some agreements, hold them, some accountability, in terms of grading and stuff. But he starts pre-construction way upstream too. And I think it's something, as 2024 begins, it's something I really like you guys to start thinking about how that would work, where we're those conversations with more people connected to what's going on. Okay. Anything so far, guys? Anyone want to jump in? Serge, call on people.
Yeah, just, example, Bill, I think, the projects that we do are primarily design build, construction management, the design bid build are, very few. And I think the design build projects offer the most risk, proposals are the most expensive, in terms for the design build firm. So those are, I think, some of the, emphasis and resources we put in, which takes a lot more pre-construction. So it's, a different approach, but you're, working way in the early stages. And I think, right now, just about every project we're running is design build, with the exception of Elam Park. CM will be the next rounds of projects, primarily, or CM roles. So it's interesting. They kind of come in phases.
Nice. Thank you. So nice having you on here. And the last slide, I think, is the waste. I'm talking about these 8 wastes over and over, and specifically to the concept of and it's so funny because I've heard this since all my days in construction too. Is you could have it good, you could have it cheap, you could pick 2 of them. You could have it good and cheap, but it's not going to be fast. You could have it good and fast, but it ain't going to be cheap. You could have it good and fast, it ain't going to be yeah, you get it, right? And again, this is where Toyota and my hero Taiichi Ono, make no mistake, guys. Toyota by far has completely changed. And you just say, well, that's not what we do. And I same thing. I was in epoxy flooring, right? But the way they run their business, the Toyota production system was actually called the Toyota management system. All right. And it's how you manage your business, how you manage people. What's that look like? What's your management strategy? But unfortunately, when it came to the United States, management was way too insecure to call it we don't want to be judged by our management style, right? We're going to keep it the same, but we have a bunch of hierarchy, bunch of bosses on the top. They tell everybody what to do, when to do it, the whole 9 yards, how long to do it for, got to report back to me, accountability. So they changed it from the Toyota management system to the Toyota production system, which means it's about production. It's not really about us as leaders, right? So there's a huge difference between the Toyota management system and how we perceive lean, right? In the United States, right? The United States, originally, lean is really about leveraging the brain power of every single person in your organization, every single person. All right. Not wasting one brain cell. And I'm not talking about just in what they do. We're talking about if we can collaborate in terms of all of our processes and bringing people into different parts of our business. I'm talking about our employees and getting their thoughts on it and getting their thinking on it, and getting creative about things. That's what the Toyota production system is. And, if you look at the history and you look at the reliability and you look at sales, there's a whole bunch of things. Like you think about 2000 and, 20 years ago, maybe there was an issue, that was where they were having some problems with the brakes, where cars were accelerating spontaneously, Toyota. And, interesting, their top management came to Congress and in front of Congress apologized to Congress. If you think about their history, they are the most reliable. They're the best selling. They have the highest profit, the whole 9 yards. And these 8 wastes, it doesn't really matter if you're in construction, if you're doing lean in a hospital or an insurance company or anywhere. These 8 wastes all hold true. There's been studies to try to add a 9th one and no one's been able to do it. But they're overproduction. That's making things ahead of time before we need it. Excess inventory. We're going to get into these a lot more specific to construction as we move forward into as we keep going, in these chapters. Over processing is doing more work than the customer needs or wants. Number 7, I'm going down the left column, obviously, so I'm not going up back and forth. Waiting is the number 1 waste in construction. It's either people waiting on work waiting on people waiting on decisions, and figuring out ways to how do we take that wait time, because we expect to wait, right? We hurry up and wait. Transportation, moving things unnecessarily. You don't get paid for any of these, right? These are things that come out of our own profit. They're non-value added work. Value added work is exactly what the customer paid for. You know, essential vet, we want that addition, we want the parking lot a certain way. All this other stuff comes out of our end of it, right? Defects, having to redo things, wasted motion, and wasted human potential, brain power, not leveraging. And that's where the last planner system comes in. You know, where we're saying to A&W, right? Right, Pat?
Yeah.
Yeah, brain fart. What do you think? You know, what do you think? How do you think this should be done? You know, and then getting everybody together and letting them hear how each one of them is working and work around each other, and about collaboration. So this is something, this slide here is kind of going to be the basis as we move forward, in terms of just getting a deeper and deeper understanding of lean tools and the 8 wastes. And chapter 2 next week, or 2 weeks, a commitment to quality. So again, if you guys don't mind, take your time. You know, read chapter 2. I'll send you another class marker thing. I'm so proud of you people. Freaking love it too. I can't wait for the Christmas party. Any thoughts, questions? You having fun with it at least? I hope.
Yeah, having fun. I just to add in, we were looking at some of the big impacts in the industry, and the one that I think Bill will have to add on is AI. AI, they're basically in the overall scheme of the industry, they're saying, you know, impactful on what we're going to do is discovering fire and electricity. So that's the next thing. You know, we're looking at it for, you know, scoping projects eventually. I think we'll see it in everything ranging from job descriptions to writing copy, you know, content. It's just the level of what is available at our fingertips has never been more powerful. So, you know, in addition to the leanest technology.
You know, it's kind of analogous to when the first, you know, everybody started talking about having a desktop computer. I don't need
I
that,
ain't
right?
even more than that. I
Yeah,
really do.
yeah,
I mean, it's amazing.
So if you go on like YouTube, guys, you know, and you say, hey, let me educate myself a little bit about AI, you know, and how it might impact us. I mean, the people that are early adopters, you know, the companies that are early adopters, collective intelligence of the business, you know, and I think, you know, Todd's right. That's where everything's kind of headed. You know, we have like a personal assistant in AI now, you know, as time goes forward, and how are we going to leverage that as a group, you know? Excellent. I'm going to add that to the slides for the next course, the AI onto what's coming. That's excellent. All right. I think we're done. 11:30.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
guys. Have a great
Great
weekend.
weekend.
Right.
Bye.
Good weekend,
Hey,
guys.
everyone.
Bye.